Hey YouTubers, Rob Moffat. Guys, today we're going to make a dish that is probably one of the tastiest and easiest that I've ever made on my channel. I've got a lot of cooking videos. I made one similar to this the other day that had greens and sausage and shrimp, but I didn't add any dumplings or some other ingredients that are different that I'm adding today. But I want you to see how easy this is to make. All of the ingredients that I have are stuff that I have frozen in the refrigerator, in the freezer. We're going to throw in some onions, and when everything's in here, we're going to put on very low heat, and the liquid's going to come out as it thaws, and then those dumplings we have are going to absorb all of those flavors. So we've got some onions. This is a tofurkey soy sausage for people who are vegetarian, and for people who aren't vegetarian, we're going to add one little pork link, also frozen. This is more or less just for flavoring. You don't have to add it. The only ingredients that's really important for this dish are the dumplings and the greens. Now we're going to add 2 little cherry tomatoes. I like the cherry tomatoes. They have a lot more flavor than the regular tomatoes. Plus they freeze really good. Now, I've been talking about the dumplings. I have a bread maker, and sometimes I stop the bread maker when it's almost ready to bake, and I take the dough out and cut it in little pieces. But if you don't have a bread maker, or if you don't want to go to the trouble of making dough, you can get biscuit dough in the store, and then slice it up in little pieces, and then freeze it and put it in a bag like this. And the next time you want to make a dish with some dumplings, throw in your little pieces of dough, and it's going to absorb all the flavor. I was never crazy about dumplings before, because whenever I had dumplings, it was just pieces of unflavored dough cooked in something. There was very little flavor. It was like a big lump of flour. It was very unappetizing. But this dough has yeast in it, and it's actually going to rise just a little bit. It's going to expand and absorb all those good flavors. Now we're adding some frozen vegetables. Not too many, because we need some room for the greens. Now, today I'm adding bok choy, but you can add mustard greens or collard greens, any type of greens that you like, that you have on hand. When I get my greens, I wash them with baking soda to make sure I removed any residue of any pesticides. I don't do any preparation to them prior to freezing like some people. I just freeze them, and then when I want to use them, I take them, put them in the pan. Now, I've got some homemade Italian dressing. It's just a little bit of vinegar, some water, and some spices, and a spoonful of sugar, and just 1 little spoonful of coconut oil. There's hardly any oil in here. Now, I think I could use some more greens. The other greens I added was bok choy. I think this was collards. I put the stems in when I chop up my greens, because when you have the stems and you cook them really slow, they're nice and chewy. Of course, you have to spit them out. You don't want to be swallowing big pieces of chewed up stem like a cow. I don't have that good of a digestive system. Maybe you do, but what I'm getting at, though, is they give a nice chewy texture to when you're eating the meal that you wouldn't normally have. Like you would chewing on a piece of meat, actually. You have that good sensation that you associate with meat. Now let's start adding some of our good spices. Wait, we almost forgot. The salad olives are not mandatory, but I just like adding a few. I'm not going to add any salt to this. We're going to add a little bit of red pepper flakes. Gives it a little kick. And we're going to cook it really slow. wherever your low setting is on your stove, that's what you're going to use. And the lid has to be tight. That's very important. That was garlic powder and parsley flakes. Did we add parsley flakes? No, we didn't. If you add garlic, you got to add parsley flakes. I buy a big pound of parsley flakes on Amazon and go crazy. Now, this turmeric is great. I don't add a lot of it. I just like it for the color. But it's also very good for you. If you have some black pepper, when you add it with the turmeric, all the goodness that is in the turmeric, it's more readily and easily absorbed by your body when it has pepper along with it. And lastly is some Italian seasoning. Great thing about Italian seasoning is there's like half a dozen different herbs in there. So one of them's bound to be good for you. Now, that's about it. Now, this is an important part. You've got to have a really good lid. And you're going to put it on low. And the first 15-20 minutes, it's just going to be thawing out. But then for the next 30 or 40 minutes, it's going to cook real slow. And you don't want the vegetables to turn to mush. But you want to cook it long enough for the juices to come out. And of course you want the sausages to be cooked too. But you want those pieces of dough to absorb all the flavors and the goodness that's going to be in that pan. You don't need to add sausage to this. I just did it. Oh, I forgot. I also like to add... Where'd they go? There we go. It can't hurt to add a few shrimps. A few shrimps. There you go. We're just adding them for flavor, putting like 4 of them in there. Now, along with the dumplings and all of the other spices, that's all those flavors are going to come together and marry, and it's going to be fantastic. And the colors are going to be good too. And that Italian dressing has a little bit of the vinegar, so it gives a little alternative to the greens. It goes good with the greens. It spices them up. It brings the flavors to the front. It's really good to have a little bit of vinegar. Well, let's put it on the stove. Put on low. Now we're going to come back in about a half an hour, just checking on it, and then like another half an hour check on it, and it's probably going to be done by then. And I'll let you know how it looks. Okay, everybody. This is our little casserole of dumplings and sausage and shrimp and greens. Here's those dumplings I was talking about. Look how they've all absorbed all the liquid and flavor. Pieces of sausage and shrimp. This is going to make a nice dish. Now, you might find other dishes that you like as much, or maybe even more, but you're not going to find anything with more flavor that took less time, and it's just super good comfort food, and something so simple and easy to make, and so good for you too. Ooh, get some tomatoes in there. There we go. This makes a nice lunch or even dinner. One pot meal. Get you a little dumpling. Oh, that's hot. We'll save the dumpling for a second. You don't put it on high heat, and you let all the flavors meld together, and it's just a beautiful, delicious, simple dish, and not too expensive either, especially if you grow your own greens. And you can use about any type of greens that you like. The main thing in this dish, like I said before, is the dumplings and the greens, because when the juices come together and the dumplings absorb all the flavors, and the shrimp and the sausage are just extra. See how it rose up It's not just a piece of dough. It's a it's a nice fluffy dumpling. I use vegetarian sausage and regular sausage, so I can upset everybody. Alright guys, you give this a try. I think you'll like it. And I got a bunch of other videos on food in a playlist on my channel you might like. Check out too. Alright, take care, see you out there.